Hi, my name's Eric, and this is the Audible Local Ledger's reading of Star Magazine with an issue date of March 9th of 2026. This reading is exclusively for people who are blind or print disabled. From the cover of Star Magazine, bombshell new book exposes their house of lies. Meghan and Harry. It's over. On 10-year anniversary. He moves to protect his $60 million fortune as she takes action to shield the kids inside their shattered Hollywood dream and the moment that tore them apart. Plus, William and Kate finally speak out. More exclusives down the sidebar. Job on the brink. Fears for a spiraling Savannah. Cloning miracle. Ben Lamb, billionaire, brings extinct animals back to life. Margot Robbie and her $40 million Barbie sequel, Payday. And Ben Affleck's No Strings Flings. Moving inside, this week's Star Scoop, Hollywood gossip hot off the presses, trying to be brave while fearing the worst. What's next for Savannah? Shaken by the ordeal of her mom's abduction, Savannah Guthrie's in a desperate place and unsure of the future. When Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother Nancy vanished from her Tucson home on February 1st, the Today Show co-host was laser-focused. She pulled out of NBC's Olympic coverage and traveled to be closer to the scene of the crime, appearing in heart-wrenching videos pleading with potential kidnappers alongside her sister Annie and brother Cameron. We still have hope, the 54-year-old posted on February 15th, addressing her mom's captor. It's never too late to do the right thing. But as the weeks drag on, some are concerned about what will happen to the increasingly distraught Savannah, even if the ordeal concludes with her mom home safe and a suspect in custody. Her former co-host, Hoda Kotb, happily returned from retirement to sub in for her friend. Everyone loves her, and she's told the bosses they can count on her, a source tells Star, adding that Savannah's job is there for her whenever she wants to return. At press time, with no suspects in sight, that return is unimaginable. Everyone's hoping and praying she's able to come back, says the source, but there's worry she may not. Savannah is irreplaceable. She's the heart and soul of the show. On to Star Dish. With his Together tour starting in May, Harry Styles is revving up to go back on the road. But in a new interview, the 32-year-old revealed that he first had to force himself to take time off after working constantly from the time he was a teen boy bander in One Direction. The idea of taking time out felt insane, he told the London Times. I didn't know if I could do it. In 2024, the singer rented a house in Italy, where he'd spent time during the COVID-19 pandemic. I remember going to a cafe and sitting and having a coffee and thinking, I don't remember the last time I sat down and had a coffee, if I've ever sat down and had a coffee, he said. I was suddenly learning through my friends that eating a meal is more than just refueling. I realized the pleasure in just being in the moment of what you're doing. The Romans are the best at that. He also focused on his personal life and family. His sister Gemma had a baby in 2024, and Harry was thrilled to be an uncle. To be there, to get to know my niece as she's growing up, it's so obvious to me what's real, he gushed. Left with unstructured time, he even trained for and ran the Berlin Marathon. It showed me I could do difficult things by myself, he noted. And the Aperture singer found love with Zoe Kravitz, who he started dating last summer. While they've enjoyed leisure time in Italy, a source tells Star the 37-year-old is already planning to join Harry on tour. They're in the process of figuring it out because her schedule's pretty packed too. Adrienne blasts Tyra. Sorry, not sorry. Why should they give a flying F? If they didn't give an F at the time, they certainly ain't gonna give an F now, Adrienne said of the show's producers. The Tyra Banks backlash continues in the wake of the Netflix docuseries Reality Check, America's Next Top Model. The show's host and creator has been under fire for exploitive challenges and bullying behavior. On February 17th, ANTM Cycle 1 winner Adrienne Curry weighed in, posting a video rant on X in which the 43-year-old sniped that Tyra, 52 years old, has no remorse. She's not sorry. She's not apologizing to you. That bitch is not effing sorry. She will not bend the knee, said Adrienne, adding sarcastically that she respects, quote-unquote, her stance. Everyone's coming to me and they're like, none of the judges were sorry. Why should they be? They're all loaded. For her part, Tyra did acknowledge the pushback, sorta. Looking back, those were some really off choices, the model posted on social media. Appreciate your honest feedback, and I'm sending so much love and virtual hugs. Zendaya's relationship red flags. A little over a year after getting engaged to her Spider-Man co-star Tom Holland, Zendaya opened up about what she considers red flags in relationships. In a chatty new interview with Dune and drama co-star Robert Pattinson in Interview magazine, the 29-year-old revealed she's no longer charmed by bad behavior. As I've matured, I think a red flag is a red flag, you feel me? She told the 39-year-old. Instead, she explained, she looks to see how people treat others. I admire people who are kind to everyone, she said, not just nice to those in power. She allowed that people are layered and complex and they make mistakes, but said she's wary of those who change too much once she gets to know them. I don't like surprises, she noted. Let's be upfront with the crazy. If all else fails, she joked, she can count on her pup Noon. Dogs are a good judge of character. Shia's dangerous spiral. Man in trouble. There's worry his life is in danger, says an insider of Shia, who went back to partying after his arrest. No sooner had Shia LaBeouf been released from jail after being charged with 2 counts of simple battery stemming from a Mardi Gras bar brawl in New Orleans than the 39-year-old was back at it. He walked the 2 miles from Louisiana's Orleans Parish Prison to the Mardi Gras parade route where he could be found dancing with a beer in hand. Now, insiders tell Star that the Holes actor's spiral since his split from on-off partner Mia Goth, who's 32, has loved ones begging him to head to rehab before it's too late. Shia is clearly on a self-destructive path. He's been a total mess since Mia called things off, says a source. The pair share Isabel, who turns 3 in March. Not long ago, Shia was doing great with his sobriety and doting on his little girl, but those demons have resurfaced, and Mia's not there to keep him on track. More Star dish. J-Lo to Bad Bunny. Save my career. He's a big fan of hers, says an insider of the rapper. Jennifer Lopez sent her best wishes to Bad Bunny before his February 8th halftime performance at Super Bowl 60. We're all behind you tonight, the 56-year-old posted to the Puerto Rican rapper, who appeared during her 2020 halftime show outing. An insider says the on-the-floor singer, whose parents were born on the island, was more than just proud of their shared roots. She's hoping to collaborate with him. She is loving seeing him win, a source tells Star of the 31-year-old, real name Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. She also can't help but think of her career and how his success could benefit her. The monster-in-law actress has had some career setbacks, including the failure of the big-budget movie musical Kiss of the Spider-Woman in 2025, a canceled tour in 2024, and her poorly received self-financed album and documentary. She's very stressed about her popularity right now and is convinced that teaming up with Benito could give her the boost she needs, explains the insider, noting that J-Lo would be up for a duet or a guest spot. To that end, says the source, she's planning on inviting him and his entourage to a big party. Margot's Barbie 2 deal. In 2023, Margot Robbie made it clear she wasn't contemplating a sequel to the hit movie Barbie. We didn't build it to be a trilogy, the 35-year-old said at the time. Now a top-level franchise insider tells Star she and co-star Ryan Gosling, who's 45, are getting an offer they can't refuse. Margot and Ryan can both make more than $20 million each, says the insider, adding that the Aussie actress and her husband and producing partner, Tom Ackerley, who's 35, have been putting in the work with Mattel, which owns the Barbie character, to see what a second movie could look like, what it would cost, and how it could do. The original, written by the film's director Greta Gerwig and her husband Noah Baumbach, pulled in more than $1.4 billion worldwide. What changed, says the insider, is Margot realized she won't look like the famous doll forever. While Greta is not on board yet to direct, Sydney Sweeney has expressed interest in appearing in a Barbie project, and the source says Margot's eager to work with her Wuthering Heights director and pal Emerald Fennell again. Life in plastic, it's fantastic! Moving on to star couples, the latest hookups, breakups, and makeups. Maya and Christian, Valentine's Day wedding. Maya Hawke and Christian Lee Hutson said "I do" on February 14th. They did! Maya Hawke and Christian Lee Hutson got hitched in a chic New York City affair on the most classic of wedding dates, February 14th. Maya and Christian are both die-hard romantics, says a source. They joke that they'll never forget their anniversary. The bride, who's 27, and groom, who's 35, both wore Prada, a custom satin gown for her, for him a three-piece tux, for the church ceremony, and celeb-studded reception at a private club. The Stranger Things star and the singer-songwriter have collaborated on each other's albums and were friends for years before they began dating. "It's awesome," Maya declared in 2024 of being pals first. "I cannot recommend highly enough dating your friends. They know you. They understand that you're a person and a human being, not just a piece of paper for them to project their image of a perfect girlfriend onto." On their big day, Maya's divorced parents, Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, were by her side. Meanwhile, her Stranger Things castmates, including Sadie Sink, Finn Wolfhard, Gaten Matarazzo, Joe Keery, Caleb McLaughlin, and Natalia Dyer, enjoyed an impromptu reunion at the nuptials. Pretty much all the people Maya loves and cares about were there, says the source. She has no doubt that Christian is her soulmate and life partner, the person she wants to grow old with. Tom Brady, used for fame, a clout chaser. Tom Brady has decades on Alex Earl, but an insider claims that when it comes to relationships, the divorced NFL legend is far more naive than the social media star. As Tom, who's 48, and Alex, who's 25, have been enjoying a string of flirty meetups, the insider cautions Alex is a perfectly nice girl, but she's in her 20s and an influencer, and she has the most to gain from a high-profile romance. After the duo spent New Year's Eve in St. Barth's, so many details leaked, claims the insider, and people in Tom's camp suspected that came from her side. Well, it comes with the territory. Alex has to be candid about her life to connect with fans and generate content, says the source. But Tom, who recently linked up with Alex at a Super Bowl party, is old school and private, and it's never been his style to use his personal life as a commodity. His inner circle would love to see him date a woman who's not chasing fame. Ben's no-string flings. Ben Affleck's serial monogamy days are over. A source says the twice-divorced actor, who's 53, is no longer seeking a long-term partner. He's not looking for a relationship, says the source. He does have room in his life for flings and no-strings hookups, and he meets them on elite dating apps or through friends. The source adds that Ben, who suddenly split from Jennifer Lopez in 2024 after rekindling their decades-old romance and spending 2 years married, seems totally immune to falling in love. Instead, he's focused on building his new studio with bestie Matt Damon. He has enough on his plate with his job and children, the source says of Violet, who's 20, Finn, 17, and Samuel, 13, his kids with ex Jennifer Garner. He has his eyes on the real prize, not the next random hot actress that catches his eye. Allison Holker, Love After Loss. The future's bright for Allison Holker, who's newly engaged to Adam Edmonds, 3 years after losing husband Stephen Twitch Boss to suicide. The dancer, who's 38, shared snaps from the ultra-romantic proposal, which Adam, who's 45, incorporated into her surprise birthday party, dropping to one knee amid a sea of flowers and flickering red candles. Allison, who has 3 kids, Wesley 17, Maddox 9, and Zaya 5, gushed on Instagram that blending her family with Adam's 3 kids has been the biggest blessing, deeming the birthday proposal magic. As Allison enters her new chapter, a source says she stayed involved with mental health advocacy to ensure Twitch will never be forgotten and his legacy shines on. She's always reminding the kids that Twitch enriched so many lives. Now the cover story. Rising tension. Meghan and Harry put on a united front at the February 15th NBA All-Star Game, but a source tells Star the couple are facing resentment at home. As a bombshell-filled new book challenges their version of events, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are facing fresh scrutiny, growing pressure, and a marriage at a crossroads. Harry and Meghan, trust, truth, and betrayal. Royalty recognizes royalty. Prince Harry and wife Meghan were all smiles as they watched the NBA All-Star Game at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California, February 15th, seated next to Grammy-winning music star Queen Latifah, with former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, Oscar nominee Teyana Taylor, and Destiny's Child singer Kelly Rowland cheering nearby. Cameras caught Meghan sweetly rubbing Harry's arm, encouraging him to wave to fans. It looked like another winning night out, the kind of high-profile date the couple have leaned into since moving from the UK to California 6 years ago. They make a big point to cozy up in public and show the world this us against the world vibe, a source tells Star. But behind the scenes, there's pressure. A new book by royal expert Russell Myers, William and Catherine, The Monarchy's New Era, The Inside Story, which is out March 10th, contradicts key parts of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's narrative about their fallout with the royal family and feud with his brother, Prince William, who's 43, and his wife, Princess Catherine, who's 44, all but accusing them of lying. At the same time, the couple's dwindling American dream is threatened by both Meghan's career misses and Harry's renewed interest in rejoining the royal family. As the source says, the hits keep on coming. A rep for the Sussexes tells Star allegations of problems within the marriage are totally and utterly false, quote unquote. The Truth Wars. The new book, which is clearly pro-Prince and Princess of Wales, has reopened old wounds by refuting some of Harry, 41 years old, and 44-year-old Meghan's most explosive claims. Harry opened his bombshell-filled 2023 memoir, Spare, for example, with a detailed account of William physically assaulting him during a heated argument over Meghan's allegedly poor treatment of palace staff, and she's denied that bullying. But an insider told the author that Harry's version of events, including being knocked to the floor, was massively overblown, framing the Duke's take as a cheap shot. According to the source, tensions were running very high, and yes, there certainly were cross words exchanged that on reflection were regrettable. But William is adamant there was no physical violence. Myers also writes that once Harry and Meghan decided they wanted to step down from the royal family in 2020, Kate had less interest than William in trying to stop them, as she believed Harry quitting his royal duties was inevitable. Though Kate had previously been a voice of reason amid William and Harry's increasingly fraught relationship, she realized she could do no more to bring the brothers together. Myers writes that she believed their fundamental differences as the heir and the spare had created the inevitability of Harry wanting more from his role than being a bit part player. According to the book, Kate also decided the couple weren't to be trusted after they made stunning allegations including claims that the palace was harboring an unnamed royal racist, in a 2021 interview, and that any future engagement with the two should be approached with the utmost of caution. Kate and William were both wounded by the numerous accusations and the presentation of Harry and Meghan's truth, Myers adds, especially Harry's assertion that his brother was trapped in the royal system. Kate, meanwhile, felt deeply let down over Meghan's disclosure of a private exchange, the infamous fight over bridesmaid dresses before the Sussexes' 2018 wedding, which saw Meghan correcting reports she'd made Kate cry. The reverse happened, Meghan insisted, publicly revealing the future queen had apologized and sent flowers. The dream is over. The renewed scrutiny is just the latest blow for the Sussexes. Things haven't exactly gone to plan since Harry and Meghan decamped to the $14.6 million mansion in Montecito, California they now share with son Archie, who's 6, and daughter Lilibet, who's 4. Despite their claim they wanted to be financially independent, their success has been fleeting. After 2 seasons of declining ratings, the former Suits star's Netflix lifestyle show With Love, Meghan wasn't renewed for a 3rd season. That's just an instance. While plans to expand her nearly 1-year-old food and home goods brand, As Ever, have yet to materialize. An earlier podcast venture fizzled, and the pair's $100 million Netflix deal was downgraded to a first-look deal. Even projects that showed promise haven't fully delivered. Despite positive reviews and packed screenings for Cookie Queens at the Sundance Film Festival in January, the Girl Scout documentary, executive produced by the Sussexes, reportedly failed to secure a distribution deal immediately following its premiere. And on February 16th came news that London's Hub Community Kitchen, the first charitable project Meghan backed as part of her royal work in 2018, had shut down. Meghan is very disappointed, says the source. It's yet another stick for her critics to beat her with, and a negative piece of news she could well do without. A loyalty test. Then there's Project Thaw, the attempt of palace courtiers to facilitate a reconciliation between Harry and his ailing father, King Charles III, who's 77. After they eased their estrangement last September in London with their first face-to-face meeting in more than 18 months, Harry told The Guardian that over the next year, the focus really has to be on my dad, who was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago. It's been a moment of clarity for Meghan. After suffering in palace life, she's accused courtiers of failing to stop racist coverage of her in the UK press and said she felt so unsupported she contemplated suicide early in their marriage. Harry's potential reconciliation stings, especially for someone who is estranged from her own father. She knows deep down that Harry will never stop being a royal and that their life together is contingent on her accepting that, says the source. After all his promises and plans for independence, it's a very tough pill to swallow. Complicating matters is Harry's ongoing hope for security in the UK. In late 2025, the British government finally agreed to conduct a review of his safety needs, a move poised to open the door to a full-scale return for the couple and their children. Harry has been eyeing a return to Britain around Easter, the source tells Star, noting he'd like to head back with Meghan and the kids. Meghan, on the other hand, is desperate to protect her children from the royals. Having not returned since Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022, she doesn't have any desire to set foot back into the lion's den, says the source, leaving Harry resigned to the possibility that once again he'll be making the trip by himself. Future fears. It may not just be that trip. This summer marks a decade since Harry and Meghan met and fell in love. With their current issues, critics have questioned whether they'll make it to the anniversary. While a split could be devastating for Meghan, a source says Harry has safely stowed away his estimated $60 million fortune, including an estimated $10 million from his mother and $10 million from his late great-grandmother. Harry and Meghan did not sign a prenup. It's not the done thing in royal circles, says the source. Per California law, only assets and income earned by either spouse between the date of marriage and the date of separation are generally considered community property and are split 50-50. They had such high hopes when they came to America that things would go their way, says the source, but it's been one disaster or disappointment after another. There's simply no getting away from that. And speaking of disasters, more royal news, Andrew's shocking arrest. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's stunning fall from grace continued February 19th when the former Duke of York was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office on his 66th birthday. An investigation into the actions of the former prince, who is eighth in line to the throne, was opened following the January 30th release by the U.S. Justice Department of the so-called Jeffrey Epstein files, which included emails suggesting the royal had shared confidential government material with the disgraced financier while serving as a British trade envoy. In one exchange, Andrew appeared to have forwarded official reports about his 2010 visits to South Asia that had been sent to him by an aide. Documents suggest more information was shared with Epstein in 2011, well after Andrew, who's consistently denied any wrongdoing, falsely claimed he'd cut ties with the predator who died in prison in 2019. In an extraordinary statement released hours after his brother's arrest, Charles, who, amid growing scrutiny of Andrew's Epstein ties, stripped his brother of his royal titles and booted him from his Crown Estate home, Royal Lodge, said he supports a full, fair, and proper process as the probe moves forward, adding, "Let me state clearly that the law must take its course." And with that, we've come to the end of our reading of Star Magazine for March 9th of 2026. This is your reader, Eric, saying be well, be safe, look after each other. Remember our veterans, especially those we've lost recently. Bye for now.